back to the word prophecy because that personal pronoun is feminine and prophecy is feminine. So what he's saying is the words of the prophecy and keeping things in it, in the prophecy. Okay, now let's go back to keeping. Okay? See it? Keeping. Teruntis. Now that's the third thing. Now just notice this. Again, it's present tense, so it's continual. Now, this is kind of important, isn't it? First of all, this particular word is very broad. Do a word study, and you'll see through the Bible it means to watch carefully, it means to guard, it means to keep, it means to observe, it means to obey, it means to pay attention to. I mean, it's a broad word. In fact, see, that's the trouble with Kittle. If you get something broad like this, you'd be reading for an hour or 3 hours on a big stack of stuff on it. Who's got time for that? But I'm telling you, it's broad. It's amazing. Now, basically, people take this as obedience. Keep, obey. And I have to say this. There are places where John uses this particular word for obeying the commandments of the Lord. But let me tell you this. If that's it, then let's face it. The only focus is on chapter 2 and 3. You ain't going to be around after chapter 4. So if the big deal is on obeying this book, in a way it's kind of weird because just when we start getting into it real good, we're out of the picture. I mean, I can't obey what goes on in the tribulation period. I ain't going to be here to obey it. So I don't think that's the focus at all of this passage. You say, what's the focus? I believe, and totally within the realm of the Word, is guard. Protect it. Preserve it. Theological Dictionary of the Old Testament, just a little brief thing, said this. Of the prophecies of Revelation, which we are to preserve and protect against falsification. And then if you add to this Revelation 22, 18, and 19, which remember is the end of the book, so that's still to the church. What does he warn? Don't add to it and don't take from it. See, the point is we're supposed to preserve good, solid Bible prophecy. So when some numbskull comes up to me and says, hey, I got a new theory, and he don't have it in the book that I'm studying, I'm sorry, your new theory ain't going to cut it with me. We better preserve this. Now let's take the last part, and I'm going to let you go. Now, there's two basic words for time in the Greek. One is chronos. You've heard the word chronology? Well, we get our word chronology from chronos, and of course, he won't pronounce it chronos because it's hieros. Because remember, it's got that H sound. Again, like you're throwing up hieronos. Well, hieronos means it's a period of time. Quite frankly, that's pretty much how you use time today. We talk about a period of time. Okay? And kairos is an appointed time. It's appointed season. It's a very definite time. So the time, and obviously we're in the context of prophetic things, and the greatest prophetic event, whether you like it or not, is Christ coming back. It's not the Antichrist coming forward, folks. Now he says, the time, kairos, is engis. It's near. Engis. Like a geese that didn't make it, right? Well, I'm not going into all that again because if you remember, I went into all that last time. And if you weren't here, get the tape. But the bottom line is, when he says it's near, he doesn't mean that after John wrote it, things would immediately happen. What he means is when they happen, they will happen quickly. And if you don't believe that, remember, chapter 6 to 19 is only 7 years. I'd say that's pretty quick. Right? Well, what's left? We about covered it all. Well, you say, what's the point, preacher? We're just an introduction, by the way. We're just playing around. Point's this. Anybody want a blessing? That's the point. Do you want to live above the cares of this world? Hey, I do. So I'm going to be here next Wednesday. Preaching away. Why? I need a blessing from God. How about you? You need one? And folks, if your hope is in anything but biblical prophecy, you're going to be mighty sad. I'll close with this. There was a French experiment. This really happened. Here's a guy. This is a fact. Kind of mean. He was condemned to die. He was a criminal. He'd murdered somebody, and he was going to be executed. But they was going to do an experiment on him since he's going to die. You know what they did? They laid him down on a table, blindfolded him, and they said, we're going to cut an artery, and you're going to bleed to death. Shouldn't take but a few minutes. But they never planned on cutting his artery. Just made a superficial cut and poured warm water all over him, and he thought he was bleeding. He was dead in a few moments. You know what he died of? Hopelessness. Any way you slice it. In his mind, he came to a place. That's a fact. That's not here. That's an absolute fact. That happened. See, man can't live without hopelessness. He can't live in a hopeless environment. He can't do it. You couldn't do it. Well, I don't know about you. I like that. Because, I want to get blessed. I need to get blessed. Don't you? Yeah. Isn't that good? Yeah. Well, let's stand.